Okay, good day everyone. No, today we're going to have this topic, no, aquatic plants. So, what are the aquatic plants? No, what are aquatic plants? No, in the previous discussion we had the terrestrial plants. No, we know already about the terrestrial plants. In today, we're now going to have this topic, no, aquatic plants. Okay, when you visit lakes and ponds, do you notice plants floating on the water surface? So, who among you here have been to lakes, have been to ponds, no? Have you observed something? Yung mga sagbot dito, Diba? So, ang tawagan na niya, plants that live in water are called aquatic plants or hydrophates. These plants contain special structures that help them adapt to this kind of habitat. Because most of the plants, no, if we talk about plants, mga nasa soil, no, like terrestrial plants, no, nasa sa soil, but kini mga aquatic plants or they are known as hydrophates, no? Tawag mo sila hydrophates, no? Nga they can adapt in water, no? Nga dito sila magpuyo sa tubig. Okay, features of aquatic plants. Aquatic plants have less cuticle or waxy layers on its leaves because they experience less water loss compared to terrestrial plants, no? So kini day mga aquatic plants, one of their features is that they lose water less, no, compared to terrestrial plants. It possesses flat leaves and Escherichia or flotation, no? Escherichia is a space in between leaves, stems, and roots of aquatic plants. It allows gas exchange between the roots and shoots of the plant. Stems of aquatic plants are more flexible that can easily flow with the water current. So because of this kind of stem, no, nila, stems, no, because of their flexible stems, no, if there's a current, water current, so mo kuan lang gapon sila, muuyon lang gapon sila sa current, no. So the roots of aquatic plants are smaller and fibrous. It prevents them from drifting to other places where condition may not be favorable, no, because of their smaller and fibrous roots, no. So it will help them uh, nga ma-prevent sila from drifting to another place, no, if the condition is not good, no, if the weather condition is not good. So katong roots nila, it will help them nga dili sila ma-drift into another places, no. Kung i-compare nimo ang roots sa aquatic plants ay smaller gid siya i-compare nimo sa mga terrestrial plants. Okay, next, no, types of aquatic plants. So what are the types of aquatic plants, no? Floating plants. Floating plants are light and spongy. These plants contain numerous spaces like a sponge, which makes them lighter and float. Floating plants do not reach the bottom of the water and it has fibrous roots of water for water absorption. So kini day floating plants, their kinds of their roots, no, dili siya makaadto gid dito deep sa kuan dito sa lalom na gid, no. Then the presence of flat leaves enable it to absorb more energy from the sun. So if we're going to say floating plants, no, galutaw lang sila, then sila flat leaves, and then it can capture more energy, no, from the sun. Okay, so duckweed, water hyacinth, and pestia are some examples of floating aquatic plants. So these are some examples of aquatic, no, floating plants. Okay, so next we have the fixed plants. Okay, fixed plants. So fixed plants have roots that are fixed on the bottom of the pan. So ang fixed plants, no, from the word fixed, no, they have roots that are fixed on the bottom of the plants. Now its long stem is flexible, hollow, and light that reaches the surface of the water. So isa na sa features sa fixed plants. The leaves are plate-like in shape. So kung tanaw nimo ang mga fixed plants, no, they have a plate-like shape of their leaves, no. So its stomata or opening pore in the leaves are only present on the surface facing the sun because plants acquire carbon dioxide in the atmosphere instead on water. So lotus and water lily are some examples of fixed plants. So those are examples of fixed plants, no. So ang fixed plants pod ang iyang pong feature pod no ang iyang roots no nga fix siya. Then ang iyang long stem. Next, we have the underwater plants. So kining underwater plants no are submerged plants have narrow leaves and flexible stems that move along the water current. Okay, its leaves lack pores, but the stems contain air spaces that store oxygen for respiration. Underwater plants are very delicate, but they help in keeping the water clean through filtration. Underwater plants are usually used for ornamental purposes in aquariums. Pan, weed, and tape grass are some examples. So, kinsa man diri sa inyo ha ang naay mga aquarium silang balay, no? Or nakakita na ba mo aquarium? Okay, kining hydrilla as example of underwater plants, no? Sa mga aquarium ginabot nga nila underwater plants because kini mga underwater plants um, they serve as kanang magfilter sa tubig, no? Para sa mga isda, no? Para mga isda dili kay sila ma-infect, no? And then kini mostly ginagamit ni siya. Ginabutang siya sa aquarium so nakoy mga nakitaan nga kuha og aquarium nga ginabot nga nila og underwater plants no para ang tubig dili kay sa lumuto no para pod makatabang sa pag-filter sa tubig. Okay, common habitats of aquatic plants. So asa man day ni kasagaran ang mga aquatic plants nakita. Okay, sa ponds. No, ponds are shallow, man-made pool of fresh water that provides good environmental condition for the growth of floating aquatic plants. Due to its shallow depth, only floating plants like aquatic fern and water lilies are the ones that grow in ponds. So tungod no mostly sa mga kuan nasa ponds kining mga floating plants ang makita nato diha. Ang lakes are bigger version of ponds no. Lake is an inland body of water that has limited water output flow. Due to its stagnant nature and deep, it is capable of allowing the root of floating, fixed, and underwater aquatic plants. In addition, the lake has higher nutrient no, content that sustain nutrients for the growth of aquatic plants. No, because of high no because lakes no has a high lake has high nutrient no mabuhi gid diha ang mga kining mga aquatic plants no so kaya nila mabuhi kaya nila mag-survive diha. The next no river banks. So kining river banks no unlike ponds and lakes no river has continuous flow of water. Water flow affects the amount of nutrients present in the water that limits growth of aquatic plants. So most of the time, river banks serve as the primary area in the river where aquatic plants grow due to the temporary pool of water that harness nutrients. Due to this, the number of aquatic plants in this habitat is less compared to ponds and lakes. So mas less lang gid ang iyahang ang numbers of aquatic plants na makita diri sa river banks. So kung namoy mga makita ng mga river banks no diha sa na yung mga river banks diri sa Butuan na nakita po no nga napoy mga aquatic plants nga galutaw no nga kuan na mabuhi. Okay, no diha pod sa no diha sa asa gani na river. Basta na yung mga river diri na yung mga tulay example diha sa Bilicananga no napod na diha no it is considered as a river bank napod diha. Then no? So next tayo no seas and oceans. So kining seas and oceans no they serve as kining they serve as habitat no as habitat for aquatic plants no the coast areas in seas and oceans serve as primary habitat for sea grasses which are fixed aquatic plants that provide food for many marine animals. Okay. Okay, dari yata. So this mo ni mga key points. So key points no, plants that live in water are called aquatic plants or hydroprates. Then aquatic plants have less cuticle or waxy layers on its leaf. It possesses flat leaves and erenchyma or flotation. No? So kanang erenchyma is a space in between leaves, stems, and roots of aquatic plants. Then there are three types of aquatic plants, namely the floating, fixed, and underwater plants. No common habitat for aquatic plants are ponds, lakes, rivers, river banks, and coastline near seas and or ocean. Okay, what is the other term for aquatic plants? So hydroponics. Okay, so these are shallow man-made pool of fresh water that provides good condition for the growth of floating aquatic plants. So ang ponds. Okay, a space in between leaves, stems, and roots of aquatic plants, no? Tawag na to katong flotation or erenchyma. Then how are roots of aquatic plants different from terrestrial plants? So unsa may kalainan sa roots sa aquatic plants o sa terrestrial plants, no? Gina-compared man diri So smaller in size. So mas gamay ang size sa aquatic plants, no, compared to terrestrial plants. Now these plants contain numerous species like a sponge which makes them lighter and float. So mga floating plants, no, from the word float, no, contains numerous species like a sponge which makes them lighter and float. So mga floating plants na sila. Okay, an inland body of water that has limited water output flow, ang lake. Okay. Next, no, how can floating plants absorb more sunlight effectively because they have flat leaves. Okay? So, mo na pud na siyang isa ka features, one of the features of a floating plant, no? Next, no, what are the three types of aquatic plants? So, the three types of aquatic plants are floating, fixed, and underwater plants. Okay, what could be the possible purpose of having flexible stems in aquatic plants? So what could be the possible purpose of having flexible stems in aquatic plants? No, to move with the water current. So mo na siya, they have to move with the water current kay para for them, no, nga makasurvive sila. Okay, which of the following statement is not true about aquatic plants? No, they have thick cuticles. No, they they don't have thick cuticles. No, so that's all. No, so thanks for watching, and thanks for joining in this discussion. No, so God bless.